Essay number 47, If We Saw Souls Instead of Bodies. Imagine walking into a room and instead of seeing faces, bodies, clothes, you saw the actual essence of each person. Their pain glowing dark purple in their chest, their joy radiating gold from their eyes, their fears like gray fog around their shoulders, their love like ribbons of light connecting them to others. What would change? Everything. Absolutely everything. If we could see souls instead of bodies, what would be beautiful? Not cheekbones or abs or symmetrical features. Beautiful would be the person whose compassion glows so bright it lights up everyone around them. Beautiful would be the soul that's been shattered and reformed so many times it sparkles like a prism. Beautiful would be the depth of someone's capacity to feel, the breadth of their understanding, the intensity of their presence. Beautiful would be scars that show healing, not hiding. What would be the first thing people would know about you? Not your weight or height or skin color or age, but maybe your exhaustion from trying so hard to be something you're not. Maybe your fear that you're not enough. Maybe your desperate hunger to be truly seen. Maybe your incredible capacity for love that you keep hidden because you think it makes you weak. What would you be most afraid of them seeing? Probably not your physical imperfections, but your spiritual ones. The jealousy you pretend you don't feel. The resentment you've been nursing for years. The parts of yourself you've abandoned. The dreams you gave up on. The love you're too scared to express. The ways you've been cruel not to others, but to yourself. Who would you try to impress? Would it still be the attractive people, the successful people, the popular people? Or would it be the wise ones, the kind ones, the ones whose souls glow with hard-won peace? Would you still care about impressing strangers on the internet, or would you focus on the people whose souls recognize yours? Who would you love? This question changes everything. If you could see souls, would you still have a type? Would you still care about tall, dark, and handsome? Or would you fall in love with resilience, with depth, with someone's capacity to grow? Would you be drawn to the soul that complements yours, challenges yours, sees yours completely? What would you adjust as you walked past a mirror? Not your hair or your outfit. Maybe you'd adjust your energy, your intention, your openness. Maybe you'd look at your soul and think, I need to forgive more. Or I need to release this anger. Or I need to stop dimming my light. Maybe mirrors would become tools for spiritual inventory rather than physical criticism. What kind of work would you be in? Would you still chase prestigious titles and high salaries? Or would you gravitate toward work that makes your soul brighter? Would success mean climbing a ladder or expanding your capacity for service, creativity, connection? Would you choose a career based on how it looks on LinkedIn or how it feels in your spirit? What would your goals be? Instead of losing 10 pounds, maybe you'd goal to release 10 resentments. Instead of making 6 figures, maybe you'd aim to impact 6 lives. Instead of looking younger, maybe you'd strive to become wiser. Your vision board would have pictures of inner peace, not beach houses. Would you spend your time in gyms and stores or in libraries and temples? This isn't to say physical health wouldn't matter. Your soul needs a functioning vessel. But would you spend hours perfecting your appearance or hours developing your consciousness? Would shopping be retail therapy or would actual therapy be therapy? Would you invest in things that cover your body or things that expand your soul? How would society restructure itself? Whom would we idolize? Not the physically beautiful or the wealthy or the famous, but maybe the healers, the teachers, the ones who've transformed the most pain into the most light. The celebrities would be the people with the brightest souls, not the best PR teams. How much of our governing body would be fit to lead if we could see their souls? How many of our leaders would we follow if we could see their true motivations glowing from their chests? Would we elect the souls that seek power or the ones that seek service? Would charisma matter if we could see the darkness it often masks? Whom would we make famous? The soul that's overcome the most, the one that loves the most freely, the one that's helped others heal? Fame wouldn't be about talent or beauty or scandal, but about the quality of someone's essence, the depth of their journey, the light they bring to darkness. How would we define success? Would it be about who accumulates the most things around their soul, or who transforms the most, shines the brightest? Would we measure success in dollars or in growth, in possessions or in peace, in achievements or in authenticity? What if our priority was just to become lightness? Not to have the most or be the best, but to be the most free, the most genuine, the most connected to our true selves. What kindness would emerge if we weren't competing for resources, but collaborating for evolution? What joy would come from not having to maintain facades? What healing would happen if we could see each other's wounds clearly? What would we do with all that money we currently spend on decorating our bodies, our homes, our lives? All the money spent on convincing others we're something we're not? Would we invest it in healing, in learning, in helping, in experiencing, in connecting? What would happen if we could see people not as bad but as blocked? If instead of seeing an angry person, we saw a soul with pain packed so tight it comes out as rage? If instead of seeing a greedy person, we saw a soul with such deep scarcity fear they can never have enough? If instead of seeing a cruel person, we saw a soul so wounded they can only wound others? This wouldn't excuse harmful behavior, but it would change how we respond to it. We'd address the blockage, not just punish the behavior. We'd heal the wound, not just bandage the symptom. We'd see that hurt people, and healed people heal people. What if we weren't afraid of the ways people are different from us? If we could see that underneath the different beliefs, practices, choices, there's the same fundamental soul stuff, the same fears, desires, needs, the same capacity for love and pain, would we still divide ourselves by race, religion, nationality if we could see we're all made of the same light? What would happen if we realized our bodies never wanted anything more than to feel connected? That every act of violence, greed, cruelty comes from the illusion of separateness? That we act out not from evil, but from the false belief that we're alone, different, exiled, not good enough? What if we embraced our individuality as a temporary experiment in consciousness, but always returned to the knowing that we're all just energy fields from the same source? Like waves that think they're separate from the ocean, forgetting they're all water. What if we realized that harming another soul is literally harming ourselves because there's no real separation? Here's what would really happen if we saw souls instead of bodies. We'd realize that everything we use to separate ourselves is an illusion, that all our hierarchies are arbitrary, that all our judgments are projections, that all our fears are misunderstandings. We'd see that the homeless person's soul might be more evolved than the CEO's, that the child might be wiser than the elder, that the disabled person might be more whole than the athlete, that the criminal might have more light than the judge. We'd have to completely restructure everything, our values, our systems, our relationships, our goals. We'd have to admit that we've been organizing society based on the least important things. We'd have to acknowledge that we've been measuring success by the wrong metrics, choosing partners for the wrong reasons, pursuing goals that don't actually matter. But most importantly, we'd have to face ourselves. We'd have to see our own soul clearly, all its beauty and all its darkness. We'd have to stop hiding behind our bodies, our achievements, our roles. We'd have to be real, vulnerable, authentic in ways that terrify us. Maybe that's why we can't see souls. Maybe we're not ready for that level of truth. Maybe we need the illusion of our bodies to practice being human before we can handle being souls. Maybe the inability to see souls is a mercy, giving us time to develop the courage to face what we really are. But what if we lived as if we could see souls? What if we made choices based on what would make our souls brighter, not our bodies smaller? What if we chose relationships based on soul connection, not physical attraction? What if we measured our days by how much our souls grew, not how much our bank accounts did? We can't see souls, but we can feel them. We know when we're in the presence of a beautiful soul, regardless of what body it's wearing. We know when our own soul is thriving or dying. We know, if we're honest, that the things that feed our souls have nothing to do with how we look and everything to do with how we love. So maybe the question isn't, what if we could see souls instead of bodies? Maybe it's what if we acted like souls matter more than bodies? Because we can't change what we see, but we can change what we value. We can't see souls, but we can choose to honor them anyway. The real question is, will we?